Welcome back, guys. Welcome to another episode of Sprue Talk. Today I'm joined by Malcolm.
Hello.
Founder and chairman of Models for Heroes, and James.
Hello.
Volunteer of Models for Heroes, but also a very keen, avid modeller who some of you may recognise on some YouTube channels.
Some YouTube channel or other, yeah.
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, whatever else.
Yeah, anywhere where they allow me to be.
Yeah, you're not barred.
Oh, I don't think I've been barred yet.
So today we'd invited the guys in to talk about the fantastic charity that they run, but also the support that Airfix provides them, and perhaps something that you could get involved in, either support or volunteer yourself during the course of the year and so on. So, Malcolm. Hi, welcome. Can you just talk about what Models for Heroes is and why it started and came to be?
Sure. So Models for Heroes support armed forces and emergency service personnel, provide model making kits as a form of therapy, as a form of relaxation. We've been going since 2017, so this year is our 5th anniversary. We have online workshops that people can be referred to. We have face-to-face model making workshops all around the UK, different places. Some are in armed forces organisations and some are in support organisations, and some are in community rooms or something like that, the volunteers set up. Speaking of volunteers, we have 160 volunteers around the UK. About 80 are actually currently doing something or running a workshop or doing some sort of fundraising for us. Yeah. We have a lot of following from a lot of people in the model making industry, including Airfix. A lot of people support us. Model makers themselves, I think, understand how the process of model making can help you if you're having a rough day. Sitting at the bench and just switching off and putting some plastic together can be quite therapeutic and in some cases quite life-saving. Yeah. The social side of it as well it is quite strong. So we have a lot of veterans, for instance, that will come along and it'll be all camaraderie and banter and the air will be blue, but it'll be a lot of fun and they can all fight their plastic at the same time, Someone drops something on the floor, everyone stops, goes down, finds it, and comes back up. Yeah. Mission complete. So it's a lot of fun, but it also has the serious side of why we're there and the support that we can offer as well.
Yeah, fantastic. You mentioned being referred to. So is that something that a GP will refer you to a Models for Heroes, or if someone's feeling that they are in a dark place now,
Yep.
do they can they go on their website and find a local group, or is there support there?
Yeah, so I'll tackle that through the GP. We provide our service to the social prescription service, which are link workers, they're called. So if your GP has that service in their surgery, then that's something they can refer to us. They just have to click on our website and go to the support part of the website, and it's all there. If you're an individual and you are a veteran or currently serving, or if same with emergency services, if you're currently working as an emergency service personnel or were former, you can get in contact with us and then we can send you the referral forms for the online workshops. Or you can walk into one of the workshops that we run.
And they're all listed on your
They're all
website.
listed, yep.
So
you do have to register to the website so you can see the locations and the dates and times of where they are. Also, you'll be able to contact the person who runs that session. So if you had any anxiety about joining a session, a bit concerned about mixing with people again, you can talk to that person and they can perhaps meet you outside or something. I
imagine that's one of the first hurdles of mental health and well-being is obviously starting to talk about it. Yeah. So recognising that, and then taking that huge leap, which is going into a room, be that a village hall or whatever, and doing some modelling where maybe they've not modelled for an awful long time. There's sort of a couple of things there that could feel quite daunting. So, could they do the online sessions first and see what it's all about? Would you send them material to support that?
Yep. So part of the referral form is asking what somebody's hobby goal is.
Okay.
And also what they enjoy building, what they want to make, what they remember making from a child, but also, quite importantly, is what they don't want to make and what they want to avoid. And so all of that comes together, and we can go to our warehouse and pick and choose what we have that's been donated, and then we'll send those kits in a box off to them, and with some tools, basic ones, a couple of paints, just so they can complete a few models, and then invite them along to the workshops online.
Yeah.
And so they can get the box, which is like Christmas, and open up the box, and they can start building straight away. And we try and put in, so say somebody wants to build a Illustrious, for instance. If we had one on the shelf, then that would go with them. But they'd also have a couple of other boats with it, a couple of easier model kits, and send those along as well. So they have something to build their skills up to the thing they want to build.
Yeah.
And invariably, once they've built a few, they're hooked into the hobby, and they just want to build all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if you've done it previously and you're coming back to the hobby. The hobby hasn't changed that much since 40 years ago, really. It's still the same sort of constructionism.
It's the same skills. It's the same sort of mentality around that calmness, the building, the process. Obviously, the technology in designing kits and the tool making and everything else has come on leaps and bounds.
Definitely.
But in terms of that piece, if you like, if I can say that word with it, that it brings you.
Yep.
That is still very much the same, isn't it?
Very much so,
Yeah, whether you're young or old, or if you're a professional model builder or just started, that enjoyment that you have of building that model is going to be the same throughout.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing, I think.
I quite often find, and James, I know you're an avid modeler, but people tend to go for something like Illustrious here as maybe their second or third model kit. And I remember being at an air show, and this chap, father, said to me, I'm thinking about buying a model kit for my son to start modelling. I was like, fantastic. HMS Victory. No, don't do it. It's just going to have the complete opposite effect.
Yeah.
But starting something off like Illustrious that we've got in front of us, and there's a story to tell about that, which we'll go into in a minute, but can be really daunting, even for a professional modeler or someone that's done it for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody that builds models has learnt the skills of the process over many models, and it doesn't really matter what that process is, whether it's sticking the plastic together, whether it's painting it, airbrushing it, or scratch building or whatever. They're all processes in which you learn. And a lot of people do make the mistake of going into a model shop and seeing, for example, the Illustrious and saying, oh yeah, I really want to build that, and taking that away, having problems with it and not understanding why they're having the problems because they've not understood the processes. Understand the process sounds really horrible. I don't mean it like that. You've jumped in the deep end and you're wondering why you can't swim.
Yeah, they've gone, budget is 60 quid, let's say.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into a model shop or online and just go, right, 60 quid kit, bang.
Yeah.
Avoid.
Yeah,
if that's your aim, fantastic, buy it, put it on a shelf, forget about it. Start something smaller.
Yeah.
Test, try. If it goes wrong, it doesn't matter. It's all learning.
That £60 you can go and buy yourself anywhere between, I don't know, six odd kits.
Yeah.
Let's say. That would be my advice. Don't spend the £6 on the Illustrious. Go and buy 6 kits and go and play with them, and learn the basics. Whether it be a snap together kit going up to a vintage to whatever. Choose a progression in your builds.
Yeah.
Because that way you'll learn, one, but two, you'll see a progression.
Yeah.
And you'll feel that you're making a progression.
You'll become more confident in
Absolutely.
what you're doing instead of, which I imagine is something that you're always trying to avoid, is coming to these sessions that you organise or the online videos and becoming frustrated because because like me, you've got sausage fingers or whatever, and things are a bit too fiddly, or and you actually, it has the opposite effect because you don't feel like you can achieve it.
That's right.
So starting small,
Yep.
manageable, work your way up.
Yep.
Do you often find that with people's kit choices from the outset?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why you manage that?
Well, as soon as someone joins the hobby, they want to build the biggest thing, the best thing. Same with any hobby, isn't it? You want to climb the tallest mountain straight away.
Yeah.
You can do, but you're not going to get very far up that mountain. Maybe you haven't got the right equipment, you haven't got the experience, you haven't got someone to help you. So what we do at Models for Heroes is we are trying to have a volunteer with you who knows what they're doing, who can say, don't worry, it is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
It will be frustrating, it will be difficult, but you can at least do it this way. Use tweezers here. If you drop something on the floor, we'll find it together. How to hold pieces that are warped, for instance. You can mask and tape them and hold them and glue them that way.
Yep.
There are techniques and things that we can teach you that don't come in the instructions.
And let's face it, none of the kit manufacturers will put on their box frustration guaranteed. Will they?
No.
But the fact is, with models, there is guaranteed frustration at some point.
But that is a good thing.
Absolutely, it's positive.
Without frustration, you don't get satisfaction from completing it. So it has to be difficult. It has to be hard, and it has to be
rewarding.
Yes, that's the word. Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because once you've done it, it goes on the shelf, and it's displayed forever, and that is your little trophy. So look what I've managed to achieve. Look how much concentration I've had to have, and how much time I've put into this thing, and I've created this, and I didn't have it before, and now look at me.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
Cool. So James, how did you get into Models for Heroes? So you was a modeller beforehand.
Yeah, no, I've been a modeller since I was a young wee thing. Although I'm still a wee thing, I'm not as young. But Malcolm and I were talking, and through the creation of his charity and the love of the hobby, we've become friends and support the charity greatly, because it not only does it I volunteer and help Malcolm wherever I can, but it has certain elements that I love. So one of the elements obviously is model making. The other is the promotion of mental health issues and discussing them and all that sort of thing. So the two marry very well for me, and the fact that I get on well with Malcolm is a bit of a bonus, but
helps.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
He likes me.
Yeah, I have to say that.
Yeah.
So much so that we have a podcast together as well.
Yeah, we do.
So do you want to? What's that podcast called? Where can people go and watch it, listen to it?
Yeah, it's called The Model Geeks. It's not.
Yeah, fibber.
It is, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's not.
Where's the stickers?
That's
There was
another,
some
that's
stickers.
another podcast. It's called Just Making Conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. So any complaints can go to
Go to Model Geeks.
Oh no! Apologies, Model Geeks. Do you know Model Geeks?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
okay,
good
fine.
friends. It's fine.
Good.
we-
We were good
No,
friends.
we are, aren't we? We are.
There's quite a few podcasts
Yeah.
that deal with scale modelling. I'm not sure if your listeners are aware, but there's quite a few.
There are.
And you while away the hours in the car or something, listen to. Model makers can talk about model making as much as they can model make.
Oh yeah.
So it's lovely to sit down and listen to a podcast, someone talking about their experiences with a kit that perhaps you haven't built yet.
Yeah.
And it's a fun medium, isn't it? James and I sit down in front of a computer separately, and we talk into a microphone, and then we see what comes out. Basically,
Yep.
neither of us are professionals, but we are both model makers, so we think we have something to say.
Yeah.
And then we just spend the rest of the time taking out all the swear words and release it on Amazon and Spotify and everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that it's the top model making podcast
Yes,
in a
it's-
particular country, which
yeah.
is quite an achievement, isn't it?
Yes.
So go on.
Yes. So in Malta, we are the number one podcast in the hobbies and leisure category.
Well done.
Yeah. Very proud of that.
Yeah, well done.
So So
How many are there in Malta?
One.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And they're all ours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, one obviously, but yeah, I think in the UK, I think we're like 80th, way below Gardener's World podcast.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, okay. Well, other gardening podcasts are available, of course.
They
But,
are.
we'll put the link of Malcolm James's podcast in the description below for you to, once you finish watching this video, of course. Don't jump channel yet, but and go and watch the guys, and obviously feed them loads of abuse and comments on YouTube or wherever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what modelling's all about.
Yes, it is. Yes, everyone's got their opinions. Everyone
Well,
likes different things.
It's fantastic being able to share their experience, and I think we've spoken before in some videos here about that that need to share, the fact that it's quite a solitary activity, and you get things like closet modelers, and you know, it is quite a lonely place, modelling on its own, and so to put something that is on its own quite a lonely activity together with a charity that is trying to overcome people that are feeling really lonely, I think is fantastic, and highly commendable. So,
Well, it's one of the things we found at the beginning of lockdown was that not only were some of our veterans socially isolated before lockdown, after lockdown, even worse. You know, so being able to send a few model kits out was brilliant. Because suddenly someone's got something to do. You've got some reason to get up in the morning. You know, if you're literally not going to go out anyway, not going to see anybody all day, what's the point of getting up? But if you've got a model kit to build, and you've got me on the end of the phone saying, "Have you finished that model kit? You better get on and do it." So we were finding that a lot of people were, taking up the hobby. I'm sure you guys found out.
Yes.
But also people were using it as to get through the day.
Yeah. And then being able to sit at home on their own in the safety of their own environment during the COVID troubles, but listen to you guys on your podcast and still feel like they're part of a much wider, greater thing.
Yeah. I think that's what you found on your Facebook groups, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things I think, while COVID and the whole lockdown thing was very difficult and obviously a very bumpy road for everybody, for the charity and for my own Facebook, etc., it made a massive difference and actually was a very positive thing in some respects, especially for the charity. They had an online presence which wasn't massive because a lot of it was face-to-face in meetings and meeting rooms and events that were organised regularly. But of course you couldn't do that face-to-face stuff. So then we had to find a way around that. So then with a lot of effort, well, not a great deal of effort, let's be honest, it wasn't, was it? It was effort, but it wasn't enormous.
You might not have thought it was effort.
It's another thing for Malcolm
It
to
was
do.
effortless for me. We sorted out a much better online presence.
Yeah.
And now we're running, was it 15 sessions a week?
Online workshops?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one a day.
Yeah.
Are they in the evenings? Are they
Daytime, evenings, depends on the day. They are scheduled slots. Yeah. So James runs one every other Sunday. Called Diorama Ramas.
About figure painting.
Yeah. On dioramas.
Oh yeah, of course.
No, it's no. So it's about building dioramas, and he runs it with another volunteer called Clive. And together they will talk about putting flocking together, or how resin cures and all that kind of thing, and building up your space for your model to sit in.
Yeah.
And people who are interested in building dioramas can come along and chat to James and ask him, why isn't this dried yet, or what colour do I paint my palm tree, that kind of thing. And also they get to have a chat and kick back.
And again, that's all accessible once you've registered on the Models for Heroes website.
Yes, once you have received a referral for it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just the Models for Heroes website is modelsforheroes.org.uk. So link in the description below, and we'll put a little sign up here maybe as a challenge for our video editors. Is that right? Have they spelt it right?
A bit wider.
Yeah.
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 They're going to have to do that now, and they have to cut it out.
Perfect. Okay, so so we've got Illustrious in front of us.
Yes.
So when you guys turned up this morning from your lengthy drives to Airfix HQ, you wandered in with HMS Illustrious, which I remember I was here when we released that kit. So it's not been in the range now for a couple of years. So I was quite surprised to see it being brought through the doors.
Yeah.
A lovely surprise.
Yeah.
But why is it here?
Why is it here? So yeah, I parked legally outside the front,
Yeah,
and I got told off by the receptionist at Airfix and said, "Can you move your car?" I said, "No," because I have got a massive Illustrious to bring in, which was quite apologetic. So we brought it in, and the reason I brought it today is because it's got a bit of a history and a story, and it's an Airfix kit as well. So we have a beneficiary called Derek. I've asked him if I can use his name. He said yes. A beneficiary called Derek, who actually served on the Illustrious.
Okay.
And a few years ago suffered a stroke and lost some use of his fingers and some concentration difficulties that he has. But he's been modelling and everything. Our Models for Heroes have been helping out and supporting him for a year or two now, at least. And we had this donated from someone who was one of the I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a warfare support officer or something. And when he retired from the Illustrious, they gave him the model kit of the Illustrious from Airfix as a kind of, off you go, now build the kit. So, but he never did. He wasn't a model maker. So it sat in his loft for years and years and years. Then he found out about Models for Heroes. And this ex-officer got in contact and said, "I've got this Illustrious. Can you build it? Or can I give it to you?" And I thought, I know exactly who will build that. So he sent it to me, and he wrote a lovely letter about how it came about and everything else. I gave it to Derek to build, and Derek had never built anything as difficult as that before. Nothing as complicated as that before. And he rose to the challenge because you can see he's got photo etch railings on there.
Yep.
He's got 3D printed Harriers on there. He has got photo etch sailors, and he's actually got one of the pilots in the Harrier there as well. Not only that, it's on a sea base, which he'd never done before.
Yep.
And just the process of building that and getting everything lined up and sorted gave him the confidence to do other things. So he's done that. He thought, well, if I can do that, then he said to me that he built a table for his daughter, and he used to do lots of woodwork before his stroke, and now he had the confidence to build things again, which was it's wonderful. So it's all encompassing. It's all encompassing. It's all good.
Yeah.
And so it's lovely to have the thing still because he donated it back to us. So I took a photograph of it. I sent it to the chap who donated it, and he was over the moon as well. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing it in.
Yeah, I'm taking it home though.
see
It's
it.
not yours.
Oh.
I'm keeping it. It goes around with me to all the shows if I can. Model shows, we'll have it on display.
I think I have seen it on display at a show before, maybe at Bovington.
Bovington,
Yeah,
yes.
it was there.
Yeah,
maybe Derek was even there, actually.
Possibly.
May have been. May have spoken to Derek.
You may have done, yeah. Bovington Tank Museum, we had it there. We try and take it to all the shows. And I mean, not just that model, but usually on our tables, there's usually a model. Well, every single model has a story because it's been used for recovery or for a reason, and everyone's got their own things going on, So, that's what we like to display these things because they've got a story rather than it's a model of the Illustrious. It's a model of the Illustrious, and
there's a lovely story behind it. You mentioned shows. So we've had a little chat today. You're going to quite a few events this year, as many as you can really get to.
Yeah.
If someone sees you at a show, what should they do? Come over, have a chat, pick up the jar of rivets that says "Do not touch."
Yeah, don't touch the models, don't touch the rivets. Read the signs, and we accept notes.
Yeah, they're lighted to take home.
They're lighted to take home. Yeah, the only reason, honest. But yeah, come over and have a chat.
Yeah,
come and find out what we're about.
Be that whether someone's suffering with mental health or whether they want to volunteer, I take it.
Welcome with all. Yeah. Welcome with all. We do. obviously the beneficiaries, some of our beneficiaries are our volunteers as well. But we also, like myself, I haven't served in the military or a civilian service, and there are people like me as well. So it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you have a full understanding of mental health issues. Come have a chat with us. Come and ask what we're about. The volunteers and the beneficiaries that are there at the table will talk you through models or talk you through what we do. They won't tip you upside down and shake you or anything like that, but we'll have a chat.
You tend to have some lovely merch on the table. I know, you know, I've previously bought a mug from the guys and some lovely stickers and bits and pieces. The hats, which you've told me that's not available yet. The hat
Not available yet. No, it's not quite an exclusive, but I have been modelling it today to make people aware.
It's usually only available at shows.
Yeah, it is.
I just haven't put it onto the website yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there you are. If you want a Models for Heroes hat, then
Better go find us.
Come find us.
Find Models for Heroes at the shows and
So
have a chat.
Bovington, usually at those model shows, the Scale Model World.
Telford,
is the big one. You're going to be at React this year.
We're planning to be at React this year.
Right.
Hopefully we'll be at Bournemouth Air Show as well. It's been a number of years since we've been there, and we're talking to Duxford about this. So
we'll also be at the Scottish Nationals this year for the first time. So make sure you come see us.
Yeah, definitely. And I know at Telford you were. I was hiding, to be fair, wasn't I? And bringing you guys cups of coffee and hot chocolate and hiding at the back.
It's become quite a thing now that a lot of industry leaders, model industry people sit behind our banners and hide away because no one can see them.
But I remember at Telford, people were bringing you bags of model kits that from their stash that they knew that they were just never going to build them. Didn't want to put them on eBay or anything like that, but they want them to go to a great use. Yeah. So, is that something that you would take at any show? You know,
absolutely.
If someone comes in with a bag of model kits?
We would even go so far as to say that we encourage people to go to a stall, buy themselves a model, and buy one for us and bring it over.
Fantastic.
And we're more than happy to take that. Yeah. Or if it's a case where you sort through your stash and there are things that you know you're not going to make, or you feel that someone else can benefit more than you will, bring them over. We'll find a home for them, and they will be used, and it will give a great deal of satisfaction to someone.
Yeah, I think that is fantastic, and certainly a point that we should sort of reiterate here is, people's stashes at home are, some of them are absolutely huge, and there's absolutely no way that people will work their way through all of that.
Once you do the maths of how long I've got left and how many kits I have.
Yeah, try to keep it a little bit more upbeat than that, Malcolm.
Sorry.
But I'm sure there's things in people's stashes that, that they know they're not going to build. So let's, can they post it to you instead of waiting to perhaps bump into you guys at a show?
Yeah.
So go onto your website.
Go onto the website, click the button that says donate, big green button in the corner, and it'll give you all information about how to donate kits, flying hours, funds, or how to volunteer, all that kind of thing.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Model kits, certainly, if they're unstarted, we would certainly like those. Started ones are a bit harder to send on. So unstarted kits, ones that are complete. If I say complete, that means that they've built, but no, I mean complete as in all the parts are in the box.
Not sealed, but it's all still there.
Yes, don't have to be sealed. Yeah, model makers don't have sealed boxes. They open them up and they sniff the plastic and they'll put the box back. That's fine. Pre-sniffed is fine.
Pre and post-sniffed?
Yes.
Post-sniffed?
Post-sniffed is fine.
That sounds like a tagline.
It does. Hashtag post-sniffed.
If only I knew someone in media.
PO post-sniff at Models for Heroes.
So our website has the address and everything for those to be sent
Fantastic.
to. And yes, you're right. If you go on to one of the model shows with some kits, the guys will be able to use our clever volunteer network and get them back to the HQ.
Fantastic.
Which at Yeovil, we had the Yeovil model show a couple of weeks ago. A large donation came in through there from another volunteer who had picked them up further afield in Plymouth, brought them to your Yeovil model show, he gave them to one of our directors, and he drove them back to us, and we took it to the warehouse, and yeah. So
Fantastic.
that's how it works. And the same with you. You've done the same.
Yeah, I've done the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think asking people for cash is one thing, and that's always a challenge. Donating money, especially now, it's really really difficult for people at the moment with the prices of everything going up. So for people's stash that they know they're never going to build, it will go to some great use. So please go on the website and find their address and send it to the guys. And one challenge I'd love to see is Telford. I know you've got a big-ish car.
Yes.
But for you to drive away from Telford, only just getting in the car yourself because you're surrounded by all this, donations would be a fantastic sight.
He has a secret weapon.
Does he?
Yeah.
Has he got a van for Telford?
I can't tell you that.
No. Okay, fine.
What's my secret weapon? Oh, I got a mate with a van.
That's the one.
Right. Okay.
That's my secret weapon. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a roof box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and a large glove box.
That sounds like a challenge, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
So
Well, we haven't yet not been able to take the amount of donations we've ever got from Telford back. We have filled a Vauxhall Zafira to the lid, top, not the lid, the top, and by putting them down the sides and things.
Yeah.
So your challenge is to donate so many kits that we can't actually get them home.
Yeah, you come and ask me if I could take them back and ship them to you. So, So the other way of supporting you guys is through the Airfix flying hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for those that may not know, on the top of the majority of Airfix kits, we have for an awful long time now included a flying hours token. You can do a close up of that later, Nath, can't you? So, and that flying hour, that number changes depending on the size of the kit and the cost of the kit, to be honest. So Airfix club members, when you sign up to the club, you're sent a flying hours passport, which during the course of your 12-month membership, you can stick in your tokens. You write your details on the front here, and on the back you can select what free kits you want in return for the tokens and a bit of postage paid by yourself. You guys accept these tokens, don't you?
Yeah.
As currency.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a club member or not, cut out those tokens in your Airfix boxes, send them to Malcolm, Models for Heroes. Go to the website, find the address.
Yep.
Equally, you can send them in to us. Just make sure you clearly state that it's Models for Heroes donation. We'll put them in a big bag, and then every quarter or so, you guys can get as many kits as you can for those tokens, and we continue to support you that way.
Yeah,
So again, it's a cashless way of being able to support the charity without just handing over pound notes or whatever else. So fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really nice,
Yeah.
nice scheme. All set up by Daryl, isn't it?
God bless him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, and we're doing it ever since. So yeah, please send us your flying hours on the side of Airfix boxes.
Yeah. So we spoke about the physical events that you guys run, and the people that run those, and mental health first aid, which was quite interesting, and I knew a little bit about. So perhaps you could cover that and how people within your organisation are qualified to sit down with people and really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can talk about that. Yeah. So you say qualified. The training we do doesn't qualify you to be a mental health first aider. It just teaches you about mental health and gives you that confidence to approach somebody, and perhaps give somebody the knowledge of where they can go to get further help if they are having a mental health challenge that day. The course that we send our volunteers on when we can is mental health. It's first aid for mental health. It's called. It's a 2-day course. It's focused on emergency services and the challenges that they have. things like displacement. Hang on, I can't remember it now. It's called. I can't remember the name of it.
No,
Sorry.
Yeah.
They'll talk about anxiety and depression and PTSD and schizophrenia and all sorts of other mental health difficulties that people can face, but also it gives them the tools to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And make it a perfectly normal, perfectly acceptable subject to discuss. And that's one of the cultures that we try to promote in Models for Heroes, is that we're open about talking about mental health. We're open about talking about, I was very anxious about coming here today. Yesterday, I didn't sleep very well because I had to drive up here and have to speak to you. You scare me. And but generally, I just had that anxiety, and I don't mind telling on, but someone might find that hard to say or open up about, because it might make them feel that someone else might find them to be, I don't know.
They might feel like they're being judged.
Perhaps there's a stigma against it. Oh, I don't want to talk to him because he was anxious. Well, everybody gets anxious. Everyone has. Everyone has a level of mental health, and I think what we try and do is just talk about it all the time, so it removes the stigma if we can. But yeah, so the first aid is basically to help the volunteers learn about the challenges and to normalise them and to give them some ideas of where people can go to get help, like mind, combat stress, all the other kind of mental health first aid charities there are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no stranger to mental health, and being in dark places. I've talked about it with people here, a little bit on video before, and it's having someone that can relate to it.
Yep.
And can just ask those leading questions, but equally know when not to ask questions, and just take your time. And
that's the thing with mental health. One of the most powerful weapons you've got is actually silence. It's just having the ability to listen. Give someone the time to be able to speak about how they're feeling, about maybe their issue, if they feel comfortable enough. But a lot of people will tend to, especially with mental health, is you'll say to someone, "Oh, are you all right?" You go, "Oh, no, I'm not really." And "Oh, well, let me try and fix you. Let me." And actually, what you need to do is just release. Yep. Most of the time, not all the time, but most. And having the power to listen is a very, very valuable tool. And that's one of the things we taught as a mental health first aid is to listen, signpost them to different places, different avenues in which to get help. And to ask them to get help.
I think that's key. It's people trying to fix you, and it's not about necessarily. I don't think it's about fixing.
It's not about fixing.
It's about actually just overcoming or understanding how to manage that. That's. I mean, you got
in a healthy way.
In a healthy way. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you've done the training.
I have done training. Yeah, it was an interesting course. It covered a lot of things, and I was warned before I did the course that I would find it awkward at some point, or I'd get upset at some point. And I wouldn't say I was like, no, of course I'd be fine, but I was a little anxious about doing it because I wasn't quite sure what that warning was for. And yeah, there was a moment that I. Oh, okay, this is quite difficult, this is quite hard. Most of it wasn't, and 8 people, I think, were in the room with me at the time that did it. We all met that moment, but not all at the same time. So it was all different things, different reasons. So, I talk about my mental health openly. I have had some issues. I suffer from anxiety. I have other bits and pieces as well, but and this is what I was saying to you earlier, was that the model making for me gives me the ability to get away from all of that. Gives me the ability to focus on something. Yes, there is a bit of frustration sometimes, but it gives me the ability to block out everything else. And with the ability that the charity provides by sitting with beneficiaries, it just gives them the space to do that, to not have all the pressure of every day what's on their mind. And invariably, most people will come in, especially new beneficiaries, will come into a session and say, well, I'm not going to talk about my issues or problems, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine, don't have to. But they invariably do within about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because that's the environment which is created.
Yeah.
It gives you the ability to feel comfortable and able to open up. You're talking to people that have maybe felt the same. They may have been in a different place to you at some point, maybe as dark, maybe not. They've been on a different journey. Everyone's on a journey of some description. So, of course, that's what the sessions are for. And even though I've not served in the military, I can relate to mental health issues.
I was going to say, so there must be, putting, not necessarily like-minded, but people in a room that are going through the similar sort of mental health issues or place. Let's say that's most probably a better word for it.
They come across a similar junction in their journey.
Yeah, but Squaddies in a room with other Squaddies can relate to each other just through that experience, not necessarily for a dark period of time, but just words they use.
Yeah.
Or perhaps, if they're of a similar age, perhaps they've been to similar places, and they have that connection straight away. They've never met them before, ever, but just by knowing that, they've got a little veterans badge on or whatever else, they must feel so more at ease by knowing there's another Squaddie in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, not all of the volunteers, as James says, are armed forces.
No.
But they're all, want to care, want to listen, want to help, and want to model. But yeah, you're right. The fact that there are other veterans there that understand and have been through the same places, through the same things, served in the same conflicts, for example. Definitely. And obviously the humour is the same as well. You mix the army with the RAF and
It always amazes me that you were saying putting Squaddies, having Squaddies in a room together. It doesn't have to be Squaddies. It can be one from each service.
Yes, yeah.
And immediately, just because the fact that there is that inter-service challenge that they do initially, which, what were you then? Oh, well, you were a Squiddy or you were...
Squiddy.
There's so many terms, I can't use them all. But yeah, even just that initial bit of one from each service in a room, and literally the first 5 minutes is where did you serve? And that's all that inter-service what's the word I'm looking for? Rivalry, thank you. That was there within their service is the link.
Yeah, instantly makes people feel at ease.
Absolutely.
Yeah, instantly.
And for those people in the same room that aren't ex-forces, that they'll feed off that as well, won't they? And they start to feel these guys are having a nice joke. Banter is always a word that I tend to shy away from because I think it's used in a negative way too much. But just to have a laugh, I think is the best way of putting it, and feel involved in that.
If everyone's on the same page, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And we encourage the banter. It's just brilliant fun. It's we do encourage it because that's the fun part of being in the military. The rest of it, it's hard work.
Before we started the video, I asked you each to sort of go for our showroom and choose a model that you wanted to put on the table and that we could talk about. And I know, James, you found it particularly difficult because there's so many nice things in there.
Yeah.
So I managed to sort of, you chose the Austin K2Y ambulance there, which is due for release in a couple of months' time. And Malcolm, you chose the F-35 quick build kit, which is really fortunate because they're different models, which is handy for this conversation. So Malcolm, why did you choose the F-35 quick build?
Okay, so there's a place called the Defence and National Rehabilitation Centre, and they're in Leicester. It used to be called Stamford Hall, but it's a military installation run by the MOD, I believe, and it's for people who have had nerve damage or have had difficulty with amputations, things like that, people who've served, and we provide them with some of their light activities, be it model making. And so one of the things they really liked was the fact that quick build, you could take them apart, put them back together again, put them in a bag, keep the instructions, take them apart again, someone else could build them, etc., etc. You could keep on building them and taking them apart. So obviously with a model, once you've built it, you can't take it apart. But these were really good for that. And we found that the occupational therapists could use them as a marker of somebody's recovery. So when they join, could they build this Lightning? I'm saying an example. Could they build the Lightning, for instance, when they joined? 2 weeks later, once they've gone through therapy and all the different light activities that they're offered, how far can they get with building that Lightning?
Wow! So it's used as a judge of a
process. It
process.
can be one of many things, but that's one of the things that they can certainly judge. Someone's development, how they will use their left arm now.
Yeah.
And I've seen photographs of people's models that they've made at the end of by the end of their time there. They've made a commercial jetliner with a perfectly straight decal down the side. I can't do that with two hands.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's used their left hand just to put in, and obviously that's going to help them be confident with pouring hot cups of tea, getting dressed in the morning, all that kind of thing. It's something fun to do that isn't just repetitive sets of hand movements. It's something fun. So we try and provide all those to.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Them.
Yeah. I know we've got I think there's 20 or so F-35 quick build Lightnings on HMS Prince of Wales.
Oh right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're using them as crew training items. So when the exhaust is pointing this way, don't go near it. But so they're floating around on Prince of Wales somewhere, which is pretty cool. But that's fantastic. That, how they're being used there. So you must let us know if you need any more for that.
Always.
Yes, good. Our warehouse isn't here anymore, Malcolm, unfortunately. So as you know, but. So James, you chose the Austin K2Y ambulance, which is just tucked behind Lusty here. So I'll just pick it up for our second camera.
Mm-hmm.
Why the K2Y? I know we announced it at the beginning of last year.
Last year, yeah. I just it's something I've wanted to build for some time. I've been looking at the resin figures resin molds of them for 4 or 5 years, and in my own head I can't justify spending the money on it because it's resin more than anything else, and I've always sort of wondered, why isn't there a plastic version? I don't understand that. And hey presto, there it is. Really looking forward to get my hands on one and having a play. Got lots of ideas in my head already.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities, the scheme opportunities that are so widely used in a number of theatres, of course, during the Second World War, and I dare say after.
Yeah,
they're just a staple of any 4x4 truck.
Pretty much. I've even known them to be used in building firms. So yes, to say my father was in a building firm that might have had one or not. But yeah, no, it's just the subject matter that I'm really excited to see coming into the market.
Yeah, we can't wait to release it. It's been a bit of a pain, but we are only a matter of months away from that being available in the market now.
Yeah.
It does come with etched parts, and obviously the full interior detail, which you can see there. So as soon as this becomes available, drop me an email, and we'll get one over to you.
Oh, okay.
As well.
Thank you.
So there you are. So hopefully in the next couple of months, the Austin K2Y will become available. Was there anything else in the showroom? There's so many things, and I know that is one hell of a question for you, because
I think it'd just be easy
trying
if
to pick your chin up off.
It'd just be easy for you to walk through and see which ones haven't got a mark on them. No, there's lots of stuff out there. The new releases you've got coming through are looking fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's just so much.
What's your normal go-to
Science figures. No, I'm joking. I'll come out of the closet recently.
Science fiction.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
okay.
it's not something that James
No,
is
I
doing.
don't do science fiction. No, not at all. No. Anything is the honest answer. So basically, the way I model is it's subject led.
Yeah.
So something like that intrigues me. But 9 times out of 10, it's what can I do that's a little bit different,
Yep.
and how can I make that different? So it can be anything from a Spitfire to a Helldiver to an elephant to
Lusty. Yep.
no, I don't do Lusty.
No.
No.
Floaty things.
Corvette, maybe. Bingo. Sorry, that comes from our podcast. I went on and on about a flower cast Corvette, but anyway, but yeah, just anything. You know, I like dioramas more than anything else. So if I can think of how to fit something into a diorama, that's generally where I will start.
And the KCY.
Screaming up so many dioramas. And do you know the one thing I like about this is that this is something in which we'll see an awful lot of dioramas and schemes that are of particular parts of the Second World War which are not really thought about too much.
It's a background vehicle, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're going to see this in dioramas about India, about Burma. You know, you're not going to have just the D-Day
Or
version.
desert.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's the sort of thing in which I mean is that I would look at that, and most people would probably think, oh, desert colours, blah blah. I might not. I might think of how can I make it a lot different.
So we're including 4 schemes in the box. One of them is particularly colourful. So I have to show that to you before you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Does it involve hexagons?
No, I don't
Okay,
think
that's
so.
fine.
Does it come with any figures?
It doesn't come with figures. No, I'm afraid not.
Okay.
Starting up a 35th scale range of figures is another ball game, really. So you can buy them out there. So we just steer clear of that and would rather focus on the vehicle itself.
That's great.
For now. Yeah,
And I think it should all be about the vehicle,
Yeah.
especially that particular one.
We said when we were just walking through the showroom, obviously you see the full wall 72nd scale kits that we have available in our range now. You then turn to the 48 scale wall.
Yes,
and said
got
you've-
my stickers out and went, ab.
Yeah, a shopping list.
Yeah.
You said you've only just started to look at 48 scale.
Well, my journey's a bit strange in that I've done model making since I was, I don't know, maybe about 8 or 9-ish. And that was more of a case that my brother was a model maker.
Okay.
And I wanted to make models like my brother, and my brother wouldn't let me. Sorry, brother. But at some point he had a mishap. I won't go into detail, I promise. Where it put him off his journey of model making, so it stopped.
Oh, okay.
So I inherited what he didn't want. I took out a bin. So that started my journey a little bit stronger. And at that time, when I was that young, it was 1/72.
Yep.
But then obviously, it's quite. There's quite lots of small parts in 1/72, and Malcolm will sit there biting his lip, saying to himself, "Every model's got small parts, James," because they do. But I decided at that point that I would go to 1/35 because 1/35 was a good size.
Yeah.
There wasn't any small parts. Of course there is, but there isn't in my head. And that was my journey, 1/35. So about 5-6 years ago, I started doing model making that was online. So I had an online presence. I got involved with online forums, etc. And in that small part of that journey, I got frustrated and I picked up a 148 kit. And I'd always poo-pooed them. And as typical me, once I tried it, I actually loved it. So I am very much converted to 148. I've done a few 148s now. But also with the 48, we do, obviously the social media side of stuff for me, not only with the charity, is we run a Facebook group and we obviously use the 148 for the 48-hour build.
Yes, so we covered that off before. We'll touch on that in a second.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just in terms of your modelling history then, so
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned you started off when you was about 8 or 9.
About
Did you leave modelling for a period of time, or is it something that you've always done?
No, I've always done it. I think like everybody, you go to work, you have other issues in which you wish to deal with, shall we say.
Oh, yeah.
You drink more than just coffee, and marriage and children and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
So that part of your journey obviously has I wouldn't say a detrimental effect. It's just there isn't time to do the modelling making you might want to do. So I did do it throughout the period while my children were young. But I've just got to a point now where now my children are all left home and grown up, that I've got a lot more time
You've got that
and
free
space
time.
to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, fantastic. And is that the same for you, Malcolm? You're a bit of a modeller as well?
Yeah. So my dad was always interested in railways, and we always had model making stuff around the house when I was growing up. So, and my birthday presents and Christmas presents were Airfix something, I remember building the Airfix Black Widow, painting it blue for some reason. But it's something I've grown up with. When I got to a certain point, went through puberty, and then found women and cars in that order. And and then I came back to it once you had a bit of disposable income, maybe a bit of disposable time.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get away from the kids, so I'll go and do that. But yeah, it is a hobby that I think a lot of people come back to when they get to a certain age, and they remember how much fun it was, to build these things and display them and to discover the things about the history of all the vehicles.
That's the amazing thing about modelling, isn't it? Because it's not just about the physical item in front of you that you're model making. It's quite often about the complete history surrounding it.
Yep.
So you mentioned about the where the K2Y has served, and there's loads of history, and I dare say you'll start to look for photos of where that served, and what palm tree that sat under, and all that sort of stuff. So being able to start to tie all of that in, as well as then the charity aspect as well. There's so many wins there.
Well, one of the things that we find is such a boon for our veterans is these military subjects. A lot of guys, when they come out of the military, they don't have any tanks driving around that they need to fix or drive. You can't really pick up a Phantom and as a civilian and fly around.
They're difficult to come by.
Yes, very. So we find that people will have this knowledge about these vehicles in their heads, and they're building a model. They'll say, hang on, that's the wrong air filter on that. That's not the right oil filter on this. I'm going to change it and scratch build it. So their knowledge is actually really, really valid in this hobby, which is excellent. There's lots of facets to the hobby that is fantastic and unexplored, and more research needs to be done.
Yeah. James, you mentioned 48-hour build.
Mm-hmm.
So Brooke, in one of our previous Sprue Talk videos, mentioned we gave you a bit of a plug in the run-up to that weekend.
Which is very, very much appreciated. Yeah.
So tell us what that was all about, and are you doing anything, any others? Have you recovered sleep-wise from that yet?
Yeah, I'm sort of recovered now. So basically what it was is I run a Facebook group called Model Officers Mess on Facebook, and every year we do a what's called a birthday bash. We support the charity through some fundraising of that event and other things that we do during the year. So this is our main thing. And over the years, what we've developed is a 48-hour build where you build a 148th kit in the 48 hours.
Lovely.
And this year especially was an amazing year, but B, our biggest yet, in the fact that we involved all the podcasts that we could possibly twist our arm into. It was over five different time zones, which sounds simple, 48 hours over five time zones, but it's really not, because what I mean by that is everybody started at 7:30 on a Friday in their time zone. So that then meant the streams that then came after that, every 4 hours or thereabouts, was in relation to all 5 different areas.
Yeah.
So you ended up with over 60 hours worth of video content in streaming on the YouTube channel, which is Model Officer. And then
And
just
also the clocks went back.
oh yes, and someone
Just the weekend of the clock strip.
But thanks for that, Malcolm.
But not everywhere, but only in the UK.
Well, no, actually, that's not necessarily true. That statement. They did go back elsewhere as well, but not on the same day. So this is where it got really fun and complicated. Was the fact that, and I blame my wife. And I know she'll watch this, so yes, it's your fault. Basically, what happens is it normally happens around the 17th.
Yeah.
My wife's birthday's on the 18th. So last year we chose to move it to the following weekend without looking at the calendar. Other than
The build, not the weekend. The clocks go
not
back.
the week. No.
That's some power you've
I don't
got.
have that power. No.
Yeah.
So we moved the build week, our birthday bash weekend, by 1 week. And then some bright spark told me, I don't know, maybe a week before or 3 weeks before, something like that, you do realise the time changed. It's like, no, thanks. So then I planned out everyone's schedule, not knowing that in America they have a similar thing, but happened a week before.
It happens at a different time.
Yeah, so my brain and time zones were like, which they were anyway, because I've only got 10 fingers. Right, and you've got 11 hours in Australia in front and 6 behind in wherever that time zone was, and 4 over there and 2 here and 1 there. Yeah, it was quite fun. Anyway, enough of that moaning. I got someone else to do it next year.
But a fantastic event that
I
you
know.
raised some money for Models for Heroes.
Yeah, we set ourselves a target of £1,500, and I was concerned that we wouldn't reach it because obviously it's been a really difficult period.
Yeah.
And especially last year, and I didn't want to create a target which would have a negative impact on me, because it's not about me, I know, but I didn't want to reach for the stars and not get it. So anyway, yeah, we did that. We did an auction. Some companies got involved and dropped us some stuff to auction off. The auction was a little complicated in that we had an Australian auction, which was Australian people only. We had a UK auction, which was for UK and Europe only, of which someone in Israel bought something. Anyway, another story. And then we had an American auction as well, which was for the Americans only. So yeah, it was a lot of balls in the air. But I must say, everybody that helped, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, shout outs from yourself and so many other people. I mean, we have people that cancelled their streams, so we would, in theory, get their viewers.
Perfect.
It was the whole community coming together, and the upshot was, as of I hope the 18th of this month, we should be £3,662.
Well done.
Wow.
Fantastic.
So that's way beyond what I thought, and it well, Malcolm can tell you what difference that'll make to the charity.
Yeah, so £3,300.
No, 3,600.
Oh, £3,600. So sending a box out is about £10, and then of course you've got the purchase of clippers and cutting mats and sanders and tweezers, all that extra. So it's about £20 to £30 to send a box out. You can work it out with your own calculator how many boxes we can send out. And of course there's other admin bits that we have to buy, like envelopes and stamps and all that kind of thing. But yeah, that's going to help a lot of beneficiaries with your efforts and all the other volunteers behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
But it's the whole hobby community that gets involved in those little things.
That's the amazing part about it.
There wasn't a dry eye in the house on the Sunday afternoon, was there?
No, there wasn't.
No.
And again, I mean, one of the things that came out of, especially this year, that I hadn't anticipated, was that Malcolm had got people that contacted him directly as to how can I get involved and how can I become a beneficiary. That's massively important, massively. And then, of course, we've got a scenario where within the streams we are talking openly about our mental health. We're talking openly about the hobby, etc., etc. And we've got people that had never anticipated going on to effectively a worldwide stream and offloading something in which they may not even have told their nearest and dearest. You know, so the power of the event is enormous, absolutely enormous, and it highlights the power of the charity as well, because it's a similar sort of basis in its approach. And yeah, this year was just an amazing year. Next year's going to be bigger, more of a challenge. The year after that will be even more bigger, because that's how we are. We like to try and move forward a little bit more in everything we do, because I'm a nutter, basically.
That is fantastic, and you know, well done, and you know, support so many. And again, it goes without banging that drum too much, but it is what we're all about and why we do this, you know, Sprue Talk and all the social media channels, and why we support you guys. It's that wider community that we're all part of, and it's what makes it so brilliant as a hobby.
Yeah.
You know, you can find some hobbies and there isn't really an interested community as part of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, well done, and well done to you guys at home as well for supporting the community overall. The 48-hour video,
the build,
and if you've supported Models for Heroes up to this point, thank you very much from me, and I'm sure, you know, Malcolm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you haven't, root around your stash, and you know, I'm sure you'll find 1 or 2 kits in there, or maybe more, that you can you know, pop in the post and send to the charity and support the guys that way, because you know, what do you quoted £20-30 per box, that doesn't include the kit. So you know, that would be fantastic, won't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, if you are watching this and you want to go through your stash, I mean, I just point something out to you. Your journey, your modelling journey, has changed. Own it. Look through your stash. Donate.
Yeah. Well done.
Brilliant.
Perfect. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming in today. I know it's a long way for you guys to come, but it's fantastic to have you here today to meet and discuss opportunities that we can all be.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, indeed.
And putting up with us for the day.
No, it's fine. You've been well behaved on camera.
Have we?
Well,
on camera,
James
yes. Well,
have I not been well behaved? I thought I had.
No, you were always well behaved.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Not on camera though.
No. Brilliant. So thanks very much, guys, and to you, the viewers and the listeners. You know, all the links that we've spoken about during the course of this video will be in the description. If you like this video, click the like button on YouTube. Subscribe to us for more of this content. And please, you know, post your comments below. The comments that we received to the last video were fantastic, and we're still receiving them now. It's just fantastic to see, and I'm sure the guys from Models for Heroes will continue to look at those comments as well, and you know, grow from it. So thank you very much to everyone that is involved. Thank you again, guys. Pleasure meeting you.
Bye.
Thanks, Joe. Bye for now.
see you later.